A few months ago, it was reported that Bailey Bergroth, or Billy as he seems to be known as, left being the WA organiser of MFA, March for Australia. He had left his position, kind of unknown reason. People were having theories that it had something to do with his private life. He had posted a letter that he had received from his bank, which was ANZ, stating that it had closed his bank, that the reason was, quote, the nature of Billy's activities falling outside ANZ's risk appetite. We don't know what that risk appetite is. We don't really know why that happened. And while that did happen about a week prior to him leaving, this may have been a bit of a red herring. Essentially, there was some drama in the MFA National Telegram chat. What was revealed, individuals mainly in WA, such as Blondie, or Based Blondie as she's known as, who was a friend of Billy's for a really long time, helped him with the MFA rallies, but then they've had some kind of falling out. Blondie and his partner, who we don't know her name, but we only know her as Modest Maiden on Telegram and other social media channels that she's on. They had this argument, and it was revealed that him wanting to be the national leader instead of Beck Freedom, but he didn't get accepted as the new leader. So he clearly made an attempt to usurp her. Whoever within the organization that is MFA, if it is an organization, who have any sway over these kinds of decisions have clearly said, no, we want to keep Beck Freedom. Billy, we don't want you as the leader. We don't know, again, what's happened with that conversation, what's happened between then and when he's decided to take the leave. While he seems to be on relatively okay terms with MFA, the community, the organisers, like he's active in their chats, he's active in their Telegram chats, he still talks to them when he's in their spaces on Twitter. They all chummy with each other. It doesn't seem like this drama that we have been able to piece apart a bit of these details from was a recent drama, kind of echoed previous breakdowns in relationships, friendships within this community. I wanted to focus a little bit on Modest Maiden, who is Billy's partner. So shortly after the August 31st rally, they made a Telegram chat so they could, all the people that they've met out there, out on the streets, out on these rallies, so they can get them all together in a safe-ish for whatever content they want to discuss. And Modest Maiden had started posting in there links to this Australian Women's Preservation Society, and saying that she's wanting to create this group, and she's wanting to build community, come together and support each other. Feel free to have a look. When you have a look at this Twitter account, what you find is it's some would say pretty fashy. It's pretty obviously white supremacy. You got their Australian women's community on a Australian flag, on a god, bits out of a Bible. You could get to this account via a link on another account, the Australian Preservation Coalition. Again, in its bio, it has things like honor your God, love your family, defend your country, baseline statements that you get from nationalists, fascists, etc. For females, only for the females, they get the AWP Society. Since the Australian Women's Preservation Society account has deleted, it doesn't seem to exist anymore on X. It doesn't seem to exist whether you are, it's not a block. The Australian Preservation Coalition, however, has had a few little changes. Those changes include now only certain people can view the content coming from it. And it still has the link to the Australian Women's Preservation Society, which again doesn't exist. It has a link to the Queensland Australian Preservation Coalition, which doesn't really have much on it. It's kind of a nothing place for quite a while. It's been well reported, ABC and all different sorts, on how the NSN, back when it was still legally in, let's say, was known to encourage their partners, to encourage women within their groups, to create women's groups, white women's groups, as sort of a front for recruitment, especially to recruit young conservative white girls into their communities to then use them as honeypots, basically honeypot traps for young guys. We've seen this tactic used many a time. It reads the exact same with the Australian Women's Preservation Society. Since Billy has left MFA, he has definitely not stopped doing stuff. He has definitely been doing plenty of getting out there and getting active, making himself more powerful, more active physically, politically, socially, and sexually. He's been going hiking with his mates. They've been going hiking around in the hills of Perth. It's him and his mates holding up the Australian flag and then holding up another flag, which is just explicitly the Nazi flag edited to have the Eureka cross of the Eureka flag instead of the swastika. It's just as plain as that. Like it couldn't get any more clear. Billy posted these photos along with other times that he's taken these hiking trips, taken these flags for a hiking trip. He tried to share these onto X and he tried to make them his banner, try to make it a part of like his profile. This led to violation bans. So that account has been banned and he's now using an alt account, which goes by Billy the Punished Australian because he is the most punished Australian. Billy has been well known for for advocating for fascism, for advocating for neo-Nazism, not just your typical end mass migration and send them back kind of slogans. He was also advocating, I think it was in November, for people to join the White Australia Party, created by the NSN, the National Socialist Network. Jack Eltis, at least, has stated that they still intend to create a White Australia Party. That is the ultimate goal for those who have left the NSN. Billy has denied having any associations with the NSN. The first time that he started advocating for them, at least outrightly, was again when MFA had already been established. They'd done their October 19th rally, so their second rally as MFA. They had a whole heap of drama leading to the Queensland team separating because of the connections that MFA had explicitly with NSN. And he came out in November in response to an article in the Noticer, my favorite news source, that had an opinion piece just come out by Joel Davis, as in he wrote it. Billy came out and basically said, whether you agree with Nazis or not, if you're truly fed up with this uniparty slide into totalitarian control, register for the White Australia Party, which is rather interesting considering that they're neo-Nazi, fascist, authoritarians. He tried to do a little bit of reaching across the aisle, right of centre, a little bit more far right, but not this far right, and basically said you don't have to agree with or even like the NSN to acknowledge that they have been at the forefront of protecting free speech and freedom of political expression. He then goes on to say what we need is a coalition of parties and individuals who hold true conviction in the fight for Australian preservation. The NSN, as usual, has been the hammer that causes cracks in the wall. He's very enthusiastic about joining the White Australia Party, but don't think he is joining the White Australia Party. He's definitely not a part of the NSN either, according to him. He is encouraging you to throw away any concerns you might have about the idea of politically aligning with Nazis and saying, hey, look, they have been at the forefront of our rights being taken away. They're just here to help the white man or Australian. I don't know, like, who were they supposed to be protecting in this case? But nonetheless, you should join them. Beck Freedom released a statement almost immediately after Billy's statement went out, where she declared that statements and political beliefs expressed by an MFA organiser are their own and don't reflect the political beliefs of MFA. Of course, we've come to understand that this doesn't really mean anything. I've got a video I want to show you. It was a conversation that I was rather lucky to get. I didn't expect it. It was a conversation that I got with Billy shortly after their January 26th, Take Back Australia Day rally. Of course, there was the whole background of the terrorist attack attempt in Perth, the white nationalists who threw an attempt pipe bomb, and thankfully it didn't work. Interestingly, Billy had a lot of theories as to how it's not a white nationalist who did it, how it's actually a pro-Palestinian protester mad at indigenous protesters. Anyways, the thing I found more interesting more than anything was his interesting ability to not see how obvious it was that he is clearly a part of the NSN in some capacity. His purpose in the role of an organizer for MFA, given what we understand to be the connection between MFA and the NSN. My claim is he was more than happy to work alongside, to help, and contribute to the aims and goals of neo-Nazis.
Can I ask you a question, Billy, that's kind of not exactly, but kind of related to this? Why do you guys even bother pretending you're not the NSN anymore? Well, the fucking Nordic rune,
I walk around in Nordic runes.
from what I've seen at least.
I have Nordic runes in my Telegram name because I have Nordic blood. I have a tattoo of a raven on my arm, which is technically a Nordic
And
symbol.
it's just conveniently lined up. It's just conveniently lined up with another group that's also very interested in the stuff that you guys were doing in MFA. That also like to use a lot of Nordic runes.
Nordic runes
Conveniently
and Nordic
lined up.
symbolism is a pretty big fucking staple of white heritage. And I'm unashamedly.
What's white? What's white heritage?
What do you mean? What's white heritage?
What's white?
Nordic people are fucking white. Scandinavians are fucking white.
So am I not white if I'm Anglo?
What are you white if you're Anglo? Yeah.
But you just said Nordic people.
All
That's
right.
a
Well,
pretty
let
specific
me
group of people.
broaden it. Germanic people.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in the Scandinavian people in countries who wouldn't consider themselves Germanic.
Well, they would be wrong.
So not, and to be clear, so not Italians or Greek people.
Not for me to say.
Not
No.
for you to say.
They're not my blood. My blood
French
is
people?
Germanic, and I can say Germanics are white.
So you're willing to comment on who is or isn't when it comes to Scandinavia, when it comes to the Anglo,
Do you want answers
and
to
I
the
guess the
questions,
Celts
or
as well.
you
But like
2 moments?
Italy and Greece, I don't care.
Right, if you want my answer,
people
yes.
have for their
Italians,
fun, that's
Greeks,
great.
Spanish, French, yeah, they're all white.
You're kidding me, are you?
Why? What's white, mate?
Well, I would say white is a completely made up idea that we've made just so that we can encompass a group of people that we think are worthy of rights and self-determination.
Right.
It's fairly vague when you really get down to it.
That's my bad.
Like, we didn't really think of Italians or Greek people as white. We didn't really Germans as white. We didn't really think of Irish people as white for a while too.
Europeans are white, Mason.
Does that include East Europe?
Yes.
As far as Serbia? Wait, no, hang on. Serbia, Siberia, which one is it? Siberia.
Probably not, because that's Asia.
So at what point is it Asia?
When it turns into Siberia.
Well, Siberia's at the far end of Russia, so like if you say like halfway roughly through Russia, that's like what was Mongolia, maybe a little bit more than halfway.
Right, where are you going with this? Because you're accusing me of being NSN. I said I use Nordic runes because of my blood, which is of Nordic origin from Scandinavia and England, which are Germanic peoples, just like Scandinavians. Whether they want to admit it or not, I am entitled to use them as they are part of my genetic heritage.
Do you feel it then? Okay, fair enough. I'm due with that shit. So do you find it a bit like uncomfortable then with the NSN using the Nordic runes?
No, because they also have Germanic and Nordic blood.
Not all of them, bro.
They don't all use the rune. I don't see what your points are here.
Well, my point here is like, why do you think these groups are supposed to like band together? Like, on what basis? They've always been at war with each other.
Who knows? That's not my fucking issue. You're accusing me of being NSN, and you're accusing MFA of being an NSN co-conspirator.
And when we say friends, hang out a lot, chat it up.
I'll say that I'm friendlier with them than I am with you.
I did want to bring one thing up to Billy, though. I mean, you did encourage people to join the White Australia Party, mate. But I mean, that is the NSN, basically, mate.
Right.
A party formed by the NSN. So I mean,
well,
I mean,
actually,
I'm gonna, words.
Yeah, so we're not just friends.
On that, actually, it was formed by the European Australian movement. The NSN was also formed by the European Australian movement.
Which, if I remember.
Yes, I encourage people to go and sign up for the White Australia Party. If you
So
actually read the
you
post,
are
I encourage people to sign up because it is the best bet of a truly nationalist party getting any sort of sway and becoming an opposition. When we don't have an opposition at the moment, we've got a uni party, which is Labour and Liberal.
So does that mean you're okay with working with Nazis? I don't know, sorry, of helping Nazis.
I mean, it would be of mutual benefit to a lot of people, and whether I'm working with them, helping them, however you want to fucking phrase it.
So that's a yes.
People, and they're pushing for an end to mass immigration, which is helping me.
I find that I'm just I'm just understanding, making sure that we're on the same page, not just I have friends who are people who were in the former NSN. It's like, no, I actually do help them.
No, I push for the same things that they just so happen to be pushing for.
By encouraging people to register for their party.
You talk about mass immigration being like, obviously, it sounds like your most important issue that you have at the moment with the country. I mean, would that be a fair assumption?
That is the one message behind March for Australia, which I'm involved in.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So would it be fair to say that you see the NSN as more likely or more more capable of getting those ends and actually achieving that versus actually going through, democratic sort of means, or, other, being more sort of traditional means of going about it, supporting,
Well,
traditional sort of right-wing parties, basically.
Sid, the whole reason behind the White Australia Party was to be that sort of democratic solution. That's why I encourage people to go and sign up and do it. Not once did I.
Yeah, but
Not once did I put out a post saying go and join the NSN and said go and sign up for a
But
political
you
party.
did
and have
encourage
your
people to
say.
go join their political party. So you're supporting the NSN. You're supporting the people of the NSN.
No, I'm supporting the ideas that the party was pushing.
Through supporting the NSN. Okay.
Why do the Greens never disavow the radicals on the far left? Why is the far left radicals always?
Probably because they don't see them as much of a threat.
They're a bigger threat than the NSN ever were. They're the ones that cause all the fucking violence
Well,
in
of
the
course
streets,
you would
man.
think that.
Every single violent altercation
All the violence
over
in the
2
streets.
years, every violent altercation over the past 2 years in the political scene has been caused by Antifa and far left lunatics. Every single one of them.
You're joking, right? You're joking.
Give me an
You're
example.
You gotta be joking. I don't even think you believe that, bro. I don't even think
Give
you
me an example
believe
of
that.
something the so-called neo-Nazis on the far right instigated.
Well, we've gone through three, but
which was instigated by Antifa. They were Antifa lunatics.
No, they weren't.
Oh,
well, I appreciate you committing to the bit. See, this is what I mean, dude. Why don't you just say you are cool with the NSN? Because you're doing everything that a person would be doing if they were, but not admitting that thing, and it's just kind of pathetic.